The cross-examination, let's bring in a guy with a lot of DV experience, Joseph Tully. He's a criminal defense attorney in San Francisco, California. Your thoughts overall on the direct examination?
Well, I thought the direct examination was good. I thought it was effective. I don't know if it was 100% exactly what was needed. There is a schism between her mannerism and how you think she truly is feeling. She seems a little bit coached, a little bit just not 100% being upfront and sincere in what she's saying, just based on her body language, her tone of voice, that kind of thing. You know, and we don't know, how did the gun end up in her hands? How did she plan it? Did she have it in her pocket? You know, those kind of questions really need to be pounded over to the jury.
Well, they did. She did explain. She said that she got into this fight. He trapped her in the house, and then she ran to her bedroom because that's where she knew that she had a weapon. But to your point, it had to be sort of pulled out from her, and the way that was a difficult transition. Let's do this. Let's listen to her talk about the shooting. And to your point, it does give you the kind of feeling on whether or not she's being completely or trying to act her way through it.
He started coming towards me, and then he lunged at me, and I started pulling the trigger, and he just kept coming, and I remember trying to move to get away from him, but he kept coming at me.
Ashley, would you tell us why, if you're holding a loaded firearm, you were attempting to move away?
I was trying to get away from him. I was terrified.
All right, so you're firing. He keeps advancing. What happens next?
It was like his feet slipped out from under him and his legs went up in the air.
When Doug hits the floor, what's your immediate reaction?
I ran to get help.
Can you tell us how many shots you fired?
I have no idea. I was in a panic.
Do you remember anything about the shooting beyond what you've told us here?
It was a blur.
Tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury why you shot Doug.
I was scared to death. I thought he was going to kill me. There was nowhere to go. I was trapped in my own house. He wouldn't let me leave.
To your point earlier, Joseph, about being coached right there, I was like, why did you do it? I was scared to death. I was trapped, nowhere to go in my own house. Good stuff to get on the record. It's just the way that she did it, and it maybe came across as coached. So if I'm a juror, Joseph, and I didn't necessarily believe everything, but I'm also hearing these horrible things about Doug. How do you rectify that? How do you think it's going to fly in terms of if I don't believe her about something, do I not believe anything she's saying?
You know, I think what I see on both sides doing is taking this all or nothing approach. I think that the prosecution, by coming out, and I agree with Kelly saying, look, the prosecution is going to come out and attack her by admitting that the shooting victim had some faults, but that, yeah, every couple argues and you don't end up shooting each other over it. I think that would be a better approach for the prosecution instead of this all or nothing. And then I apologize if I wasn't clear before. I think that her testimony on this issue was compelling, but I think with self-defense cases, you have to break them down moment by moment by moment. And they did cover the testimony, but I think it needs needs to be broken out. I think really to do a good self-defense case, I would have spent 50% of the total direct on what we just saw.
Yeah. Now, she did say the rest was a blur. I don't remember using that. Marsha Thompson used that for the entire event. She said, I don't remember the event. And they had an expert that explained that away for the jury. What about, how does the jury rectify the allegations against Doug? And because it's a two-pronged scenario where if you're that scared of him and you don't think he's that big of a hothead and that he's unstable, why are you alone with him in a house after all of this period? And the state has intimated that, well, maybe this was all the setup she wanted. She told mom to take the kid to the park and boom, shoots Doug to get full custody. Let's listen to her talking about Doug hitting the dog named Sully and throwing the cats, which is really off the charts. And then we'll talk about Doug, how he fits in his behaviors.
We were having an argument, and he came at me like he was gonna hit me. And our dog Sully jumped up in between us, and he punched him in the face so hard that he knocked him out. I just remember screaming because I thought he had killed him.
Were there other times that Doug hurt the animals?
Yes, he had kicked, punched Sully. He threw our cat multiple times. Sometimes he threw Snuffy down the stairs.
Pretty terrible stuff. Again, though, why did you have that monster in your house unchaperoned?
So I think the defense is going to say, this is conditioning. Something happened. She tried to seek help, and she didn't get any response. No one was there to help her. Then it kept escalating, and she was never given help along the way. And by the time it got to this extreme situation, she felt that she had no choice other than to defend herself, to take this drastic action, because nothing had worked up until that point.
Yeah. It's going to be fascinating. And then the cross, do you think they go hard at her because this has been the mentality the whole time?
Definitely, yes. I think that's where the prosecution is going to go. I think they're absolutely going to go at her very hard.
Yeah, gloves off. We'll see that. Again, they're at the lunch break. We're expecting them back within the hour at some point. As soon as they're back, of course, we'll go right back into that courtroom. We'll get a break now. Still ahead, since we do have a little time.